Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I hope you guys are all doing wonderfully well. The game has just finished between Arsenal and Chelsea, or Chelsea and Arsenal, and Chelsea have lost. And the top four race is wide open once again. Chelsea, of course, have got to play Leicester in their remaining games, so both of those two can't get their maximum points. So an opportunity missed. There's so many questions here for me. First of all, you can see it in the title. Was this a hollow victory for Arsenal? Because the goal is bizarre, and they didn't offer that much apart from that. I'm going to dive into the average positions, which I thought were quite revealing of what happened in this game. We're going to talk about Aubameyang. He looked very upset as he went off, so we'll talk about that as well. Talk about Chelsea and how they kind of huffed and puffed, and the average positions do kind of highlight how Arsenal kind of cancelled them out, but they didn't offer that much going forward as well. So lots and lots to talk about. Get involved in the chat. If you're here for the very first time, then smash the like button. If you've been here before, then you know I always ask this. Smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Only if you enjoy the video by the end of it, please do consider subscribing. Fascinated to hear what you guys think, especially Arsenal fans. Are you happy with that performance? Chelsea fans, I think the top line has got to be, with the changes that you made, it obviously didn't work, but I think Arsenal did really cancel you out. Let's just have a look at some of the stats first of all. The lineups are pretty... I can show you the lineups actually first. Here are the lineups. So El Nene came in with Partey. You had Odegaard and Smith Rowe then playing in front of them. I really want to talk about Smith Rowe, by the way. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Kepa came in for Chelsea. You had Tierney and you had Saka on that right-hand side. The guy is a Swiss Army knife. It's ridiculous. Is that Bellerin is gone, to be honest? All right. I mean, Bellerin obviously came on, got injured. And in terms of the substitutions, Chelsea kind of pushed. And the substitutions all made sense for me in terms of Azpilicueta coming off, Hudson-Odoi coming on at half-time, Ziyech coming on for Azpilicueta, as I said, and Giroud coming on up top. And the reason for that was just because of how deep they were playing. Now, the thing that the strategy that Arsenal put in place defensively was this. So they defended high initially, and then once Chelsea were able to sort of work the ball up the pitch a little bit, they tried to kind of focus on a couple of players, in my opinion. They tried to focus on Gilmour and Jorginho, who for me, that didn't really work because you've got two players that are too similar. You don't need both of them to do the same thing. Now, Chelsea did have a couple of chances. Havertz has got a great chance when he goes through early on in the game. He's got to take it. Mount's got two great chances. He's got to take it. Second half, they've hit the bar twice. They've had chances. But the first half, I thought Arsenal contained them quite well. And the setup of Arsenal kind of played into their hands because of how Chelsea set up. Because Gilmour and Jorginho both kept coming to get the ball, which is fine. But when you've got a back three, you should be able to just have one of those two come and do it and then allow one of those players to push up a little bit higher. That's what you get with Kante. If you think about the goal against Real Madrid, Kante, who we think of as this, box-to-box defensive midfielder, was actually playing here a lot of the time. And it allowed Havertz, who was playing there at the time, to be a bit higher as well. But because you had both of them there, I thought generally it was kind of quite easy for Arsenal to deal with, and also to initially have quite a high press. That said, in terms of any kind of like mid-block, or actually final thing to say on the high press is, the one thing that I thought was disappointing about it from Arsenal's point of view is that there was no real intensity to their press at all in this area of the pitch. When you've got them here, yes, you're kind of, if Gilmour and Jorginho are able to get bypass that press, you've got a much better chance. But I thought Odegaard was a little bit timid with his press. That's probably down to how knackered they are. Same goes with Aubameyang. I thought Aubameyang trotted through the game. And let me know this, guys. With Aubameyang, obviously, you've seen all the pictures. He knows there's going to be a camera on him at some point. I felt like he's been through so much recently, and so you've got to give him a break. But I wonder if all of that has led him to be kind of overly emotive in that moment. When you look at him, he just looks he looks so gaunt. He looks like he's lost a hell of a lot of weight, which I think he has done. And he looked like a bit of a ghost during the game. Let's have a look at his stats before I get back into the sort of second part of Arsenal and how they defended, because I think the stats do reveal quite a lot on Aubameyang's part in the game. So first of all, let's have a look at Aubameyang, because in terms of his heat map and bits and pieces, we can have a look at it. When he comes off after 80 minutes, I was like, that made complete sense to me. I felt like he'd ran his race, he'd barely touched the ball, which I know he's not always going to do. But when you're the final man up there, I would have liked him to be involved a little bit more. I know he's sort of trying to stop the press with a lot of the work that he's doing, like in terms of, here he was just sort of stopping the passing lanes both sides a lot of the time. But I still think that he could have got involved a little bit more. But again, I think he's knackered. Do you know what I mean? The ground duels didn't take part in a ground duel. Aerial duels, won 4 out of his 6, so kind of got involved. Lost possession 11 times. He only had the ball 28 times. Now, I know he's at the far end of the pitch, so that's going to take a big part of this. But I just think he wasn't doing that much. So for him to come off and look that forlorn was interesting to me. And I wonder if I'm being really cynical, let me know in the chat right now. I'm intrigued. If I'm being really cynical, he's doing that to sort of put forward a message that he's not happy with Arteta. If I'm being empathetic, I think he's tired and upset at his own performance as much as anything. I'll be fascinated to know what people think. And of course, there's only one way to find out, to hear it from himself. But he looked very upset when he came off. But he just looked shattered. He looked absolutely shattered. Back to Arsenal and their defending. Here are the average positions. This is interesting. Because look at, first of all, Chelsea and how they were trying to use the width of the pitch. They were trying to stretch Arsenal, but also Arsenal very set in their ways in terms of the fact that Chelsea were going down both sides a lot of the time and then trying to kind of stretch the space to allow Mount to come and get in the ball in these areas and Pulisic in those areas. But generally, it's interesting. First of all, Mount further ahead than Havertz. Mount had 42 touches in the first half. For him to have 42 touches and for them to be losing a game I think is interesting. And for him to get the shots off that he got off. They were able to cut through them a few times, but considering that initial starting point of how they wanted to set up was so high up on the pitch, what was interesting is that the energy and the confidence is not there, but the defensive shape I thought was quite strong from Arsenal. Because they were hard to break down, and I think they were good in terms of stopping a lot of the passing lanes. And it only got deeper in the second half. This was it at half time. Gilmour trying to get forward a little bit more to get involved. Jorginho always that sort of last man to sit in front of those guys. I thought when it comes to Chelsea, I think James is probably the second best person I'm going to talk, involved in this video today. Do you know what I mean? Terrible joke. He's class. He's so great. But I think the problem you have is like Havertz is as much as he's big and he can get on the ball in the box and have maybe better touches than Giroud. But I feel like this game was kind of made for Giroud a little bit. And also in terms of the changes that were made, there could have been a little bit more from. You could have put Werner on. I would have been intrigued to see Werner on and go play up there with Giroud, and Giroud look for Werner when you get the opportunity. Just to have those two players a little bit closer, because although they were close in this game, like I say, in terms of like the passing lanes that they were trying to stop, they were able to do that really quite comfortably. And you can see that, like the ball was allowed to get to the likes of Chilwell or Reece James, but then you had this wall of people. Let me just show you it here. You had this sort of wall of people here, or you had this wall of people here. Obviously you can't, you know what I'm saying, with Tierney involved as well. So they defended very resolutely. But the reason I say is it hollow is because, do you want a little bit more from Arsenal? I thought this was the perfect game for a team like Arsenal where they're struggling. They got so little confidence with the ball that they didn't offer much going forward at all. Like, let's have a look at the touches for a start. Like the dominance in the game was just completely with them, right? Give me your man of the match as well, guys. I don't always slag off Arsenal. That's not true. I think, look, the point is that did they dominate the game? No. Were Chelsea robbed? Probably, right? The goal comes from a massive mistake. It wasn't created by themselves. Yesterday on the channel I was told I had a Chelsea bias, which I do because I'm a QPR fan. But I think I'd try and call it how I see it. Two big chances to Chelsea, one to Arsenal. That's of course the goal. Otherwise, very, very little. Counter-attack shots, hit the woodwork, nothing. Shots in total, 5. Shots in total, 19. Let's have a look in terms of like holding on to the ball as well. Possession 67-33, which isn't everything, but you would hope that they would offer up a little bit more in the counter-attack. Not a single shot came from a counter-attack. So, although they've won the game, and I thought defensively their shape was really, really good. You know, they didn't do very well with the ball. Let's have a look at the touches. Wow, I mean, look at that. Zuma, Jorginho, Azpilicueta, Silva, literally the entire Chelsea team. You know, I think that's the problem, is Arsenal with the ball. Here's something I'm happy to go on about for a long time, is that I say what, Smith Rowe is so good. Smith Rowe, I think when he's played 150 games for this team, he's going to be on the next level. And I think for Arsenal fans, you're looking for crumbs of hope, right? And I think that there's a big fat crumb, and his name's Emil Smith Rowe. Like, I think he's wonderful. Like the spaces that he picks up, like his ability, he's so neat and tidy with the ball. Like I bet his accurate passes were probably high up there for that, especially in a player who's playing in really like tight spaces for them. 90% pass completion rate. Look at that. Always an option. I think they need to get the ball to him quicker. I thought Odegaard on the other side, if you said to me one of these players was seen as this starlet and is on loan from Real Madrid, I would have thought it was this guy. Because this guy is really, him and Saka, that's how you build this team now. He's so smart with his appreciation of space. The only thing that is a shame is that at the moment, I think the confidence of the entire team is poor. So he doesn't have bodies around him a lot of the time, and he's not getting the ball quick enough. And when he does, there are a few occasions where he's a little bit too selfless. And I think in time, it's going to come for him. Like I really do like him. I really, really do like him, because I think when he keeps a hold of the ball on the half turn, can he turn and go forwards a little bit more? I'd love to see that. But I think that's the difference between these two teams at the moment. The difference is that one team has a lot of confidence, and I think the concern that I've said in previous games with Chelsea is that when they get these chances, they aren't clinical, and that's why they're not scoring enough goals. For Arsenal, I think you can see there's a real lack of confidence in that team right now, and that's to be expected a little bit, right? In terms of man of the match, I am going to go with Emil Smith Rowe, not just because of the goal, but I just thought he was, in terms of, yes, I know I always use the stats, but having watched the game, I thought from the eye test, he was the player that I thought was constantly an option, constantly in good spaces, constantly trying to create things for the team. When it came to Chelsea, I felt like they missed Kante quite a bit. I could have gone with Thiago Silva, who I think, like I say, absolutely walked through the game. He was a class above. I thought Zuma had a good game overall. That sometimes happens. And that's about it from me. I think, look, hollow victory. Here's a question. Now, answer it for me in the chat, guys. What do you think? Because I think it's not a hollow victory. You know, I think ultimately you played the hand that you were given. You've got a team that's struggling with confidence, but defensively has a very good, strong shape. And looking at we can have a look at the table here. Maybe have a look at the top four situation. Arsenal don't concede many goals. They've only conceded 38 goals this year. That's not too bad. The problem has always been scoring goals. Only scoring 50 goals this season is not good enough. And Chelsea, I think you see a similar thing. Only scoring 55 goals and being 4th, 3rd in the league just highlights defensively how strong they've been. But Arsenal, they got that victory. They hung in there. And that is something to be applauded. The focus has got to be, and I'm sure Arsenal fans will surely back me up on this, is that this kind of game, you saw this with the Man United game earlier in the season, where the setup of the team was really strong. They defended to the letter of the law. I thought the back three for Arsenal were really, really good. But with the ball, that is a problem. You have to be able to go and win games. And we've seen that in the past with different teams along the way, especially teams that are considered big teams. Arsenal, at the moment, don't truly have that quality to break down teams, it feels like at the moment. Or certainly not the confidence. Maybe it's not even the quality. I mean, Saka as well, playing right back, or right wing back, because they were generally playing with the back five a lot of the time. I thought he had to deal with a lot of defensive responsibilities, and the fact that at times he struggled against Chilwell a little bit, and the overload in terms of him and Mount. And I think Chelsea could have exploited that a little bit more. I think he did a really good job for them, and I think That's what I mean. Like there are good elements in that team. There's just a lot of kind of rotten ones, and the confidence is so low. And that's something I said in my video. My problem with Arsenal and Arteta. But the problem I've got with Arteta is that is the good side of him. That is the good coach in him. Defensively, really strong. You know, in terms of stopping an opposition, having a plan, and getting players to adhere to that plan. You know, like I've shown you, the defensive way that they were set up. It was good. El Neni, I think, also had a good game for them, but it was obviously in a congested area, so I think it worked for him a little bit, but that's fine. He still did well. The problem is with the ball. And the problem is that with Aubameyang through the centre, I think at times his hold-up play isn't good enough. And today, I'm not surprised he came off looking knackered. It's because he clearly is mentally frazzled. Do you know what I mean? So look, there's positives there. There's a long way to go for Arsenal. But to beat a team with this kind of confidence in Chelsea and to hang in there, I think there are some elements there that you can be proud of if you're an Arsenal fan today. You can be proud of the work rate that was there. They stood to the letter of the law of what Arteta wanted to do defensively. And they got it done. Yeah. So, yeah, Jimmy Jim, any questions, guys, or any comments, I'll read them out now. Anyone want to fight? That's weird. But still suffering from malaria. Not his fault. Laka's injured too. Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying when he looks that upset when he comes off, I think something's not right. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, in himself, he's not feeling great right now. But he came off, and like I say, when you look at these average positions, he is miles away from the play. He is absolutely miles away from the play. Look at the distance between it. And there weren't. That's the other thing that I think is frustrating at times, is that they were trying to get the ball to Odegaard and Smith Rowe in these areas, which is great. But I think they need a little bit more. They need different options. They're so frequently going down this channel or this channel, which again is fine. But Aubameyang, there should be the opportunity to just look to play those balls in behind, especially when you've got a back three that were looking to press as much as they did. So it's interesting, you know. And they've done the double. Arsenal have done the double, and they've got to be delighted with that. Navit Karuna with a super chat. Thank you very much for that. You didn't say anything, bud, but thank you for that, mate. Why not use Balogun? I agree with that. I think now is the time to try these things. Although now they're up to 8th, they're still pushing for Europa League. But I don't think it would be a bad thing if they didn't have Europa League. Gilmour's great. I just don't think you play him and Jorginho together. I think he's still the successor. Jorginho is great at what he does and is still the better option right now, it seems. But he's clearly the heir to the throne. Can Arsenal get top 4 next season? No. No. Sorry. I don't see that happening at all. But I think it's got to be a long process. And I think you've got to focus on, can you get Odegaard? That would be great. You know, Partey we know is a good player. Smith Rowe we know is a good player. Tierney we know is a good player. Gabriel I like. Holding is a good squad player. Mari, I don't know him well enough. Saka is wonderful. These are good. There's some good players in that team. You're 3 players away from having a far better team, a team that gets top 6 and excites you a little bit. But the coaching needs to change. He needs to give them a little bit more freedom in how they play, and you need to get to the end of this season, I think. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. Thoughts on Chelsea's mistake. I mean, obviously, it's a massive mistake from Jorginho. I thought it was. He's just had a look and done it. And I did it recently in a tournament for hashtag. It happens. Do you know what I mean? It happens. Look, Chelsea have got a lot of confidence at the moment. I think a team that comes out and has a go at them a bit more, if it stayed 0-0 and carried on the same way, it could have been a very different result. But Arsenal get that little bit of luck and then they stuck with it. So, yeah. Credit where it's due, but I think, it's not... I don't think you can say, okay, Arsenal sorted now, can you? That's what I'm trying to get at. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below. If you like this video and you're still here, then please do consider both liking the video and hitting the subscribe button. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll be here for the FA Cup final on Saturday doing a live as well, so make sure you hit the notification bell and we will talk about the the Leicester City-Chelsea FA Cup final, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.